Good morning. Today we're at the Strasburg Railroad. Excuse me, I got some coal dust in my lungs and my nose. So Strasburg Railroad is one of the oldest railroads in the United States. It was chartered, I'll look it up in a minute, 1832 I think off the top of my head. It's a short line railroad here outside of Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and they have about 4 miles of track, and train leaves every hour on the hour for about a 45-minute ride. Some of the most beautifully restored wooden passenger cars that you'll ever see. They try and recreate a railroad from about the early 1900s, late 1800s, early 1900s is kind of their theme here. So old wooden cars, steam locomotives pulling the train every day. It really is a pretty amazing place. The grounds are very well kept. Lots of other things to do. There's a small live steamer you can ride. Gift shops, restaurants. Looks like they have some sort of a theater that they do sometime. They do Day Out with Thomas here very frequently, and it's a pretty cool place. So with the frequency of trains, we can ride, we can chase, we can hang out. We got lots of options. So we're looking for a fun time. Hi, I'm Eric. For my 50th birthday, my wife is sending me on a 2-week adventure to see as many steam locomotives as I can. But I'm not taking this trip alone. I'll be joined by my son Carson and our good friend Chris. Now, Chris and I have both worked in the tourist railroad industry for many years. So along the way, we're going to catch up with some old friends and meet some new ones. We're going to get some special behind-the-scenes access into things that most people don't normally see, and also offer insight into the complicated machinery of steam locomotives and the world of tourist railroading. So join us on this epic adventure where each day brings a new discovery. So yes, we're at the Strasburg Railroad, but in actuality, we've been here for 2 days. Yesterday, we visited the Railroad Museum of Pennsylvania across the street. Today, we're focusing on the railroad itself. The Strasburg Railroad is located in the heart of Dutch Amish country. This small short line was originally chartered in 1832, but construction of the 5-mile line was not completed until 1851. By 1958, the little railroad was nearly defunct, with freight and passenger business having been replaced by trucks and automobiles. A group of rail fans stepped in and purchased the line to operate as a tourist attraction. Today's Strasburg Railroad offers 45-minute steam-powered train rides multiple times a day throughout the year. It also has the best collection of operable wooden passenger cars in the U.S. With an annual ridership of around 300,000 passengers, it's one of the busiest tourist railroads in the country. So this is an active freight line. They have a, what do they call it, a team track or interchange yard or something? Mm-hmm. So that you can bring, people locally can order commodities by freight car, and then the railroad will park them here, and then they can offload them into trucks to take them to their farm or their industry that's within a short distance. Strasburg does not have any turning facilities, so the locomotives always face the same direction. On the trip from Strasburg to Paradise, they pull the train tender first. So who's going to come back and close that hose? I guess he will after he lines the switch, huh? At the end of the line, the engine runs around the train and pulls it back to Strasburg. This place is like a whole little village.
Yeah.
Since the train ride only lasts 45 minutes, Strasburg has developed a lot more at their facility to entertain the average guest. There's a miniature train to ride, stage performances, an escape room and a caboose, plus several gift shops and a restaurant. But their main business is special events: murder mystery trains, dinner trains, Christmas trains, Easter trains, whiskey trains, and of course the only fully steam-powered Thomas the Tank engine in the United States.
Where's the check-in?
It'll be across this path here.
Oh, okay,
Just give us
great.
a moment, we're gonna back up.
So you don't want us walking in front of the locomotive?
Yeah.
That doesn't end well, does it?
We're gonna have to have it.
So they're turning around the engine. No, they're using it siding, so they disconnected it from the front of the cars, and they're running it down a switch now. They're passing right in front of us.
Is that our engine for our ride?
Hey, cow!
Hey, cow!
For us, the most exciting thing about Strasburg is their shop complex, which is used not only to maintain their own amazing collection of locomotives and cars, but also to do contract work for other historic railroads around the world. It's well known in the tourist railroad industry that the Strasburg shops are a go-to for unusual projects, especially when it comes to steam locomotive repairs. Chris used to work for the Berg, and he's known the CMO for years, so we're going to get an exclusive VIP tour of their projects. Unfortunately, due to contractual obligations with some of their customers, I'm not able to show any of the projects they're working on in this video. However, if you visit Strasburg, they have a daily public tour, and I highly recommend taking it. Strasburg has 4 steam locomotives that are used to pull its passenger trains. Today, number 89 is doing the honors. It's a 260 mogul type, built by the Canadian Locomotive Company in 1910. It spent most of its early years with the Canadian National Railway before coming to Strasburg in 1972. The 3 other active steam locomotives at Strasburg are the Norfolk and Western 475, a rare 480 Mastodon type built by Baldwin in 1906, Great Western No. 90, a 210 Decapod built by Baldwin in 1924, and Brooklyn Eastern District Terminal No. 15, a 060 switcher built by Porter in 1917 and currently made up to appear as Thomas the Tank Engine. There's a few other locomotives on the property. This one is Canadian Pacific No. 972, a 460 built by Montreal Locomotive Works in 1912. Strasburg acquired this locomotive to impersonate a Pennsylvania G5, like this one we saw yesterday. This tank engine is Pacific Lumber No. 37, a 282 that Strasburg had been working on as a contract project. Since our visit, this locomotive has been sold and moved to the Age of Steam Roundhouse in Sugar Creek, Ohio. This boiler is Long Island Railroad No. 39, a 460 G5 built by the Pennsylvania Railroad's Juniata shops. Strasburg is contracted to restore this locomotive to operation once the necessary funds are raised. And for inquiring minds, yes, we did see several other locomotives in the shop that I'm not able to include here. So our total steam locomotives for today is 7. That brings our trip total up to 97. Later this afternoon, we're headed back to Pittsburgh, where our trip began 10 days ago. We've covered nearly 1,500 miles during that time, so this seems like a good time to reflect on our experiences. First, as you can see here, our route at first glance seems somewhat erratic, but it was structured around certain events that occurred only on certain days, which dictated we'd be in certain locations at certain times. Principally, the Everett Railroad in Hollidaysburg and the Reading and Northern excursion, both of which only operate about once a month during the summer. Cass and EBT only operate 5 days a week. Strasburg and the museums are 7 days a week, so those were used as fill-ins on the other days. Secondly, food and water. During many of our adventures, we were so busy we did not want to take a break for lunch. Apples, granola bars, and other snacks tide us over during those periods. Many other large museums I've visited have food courts or cafeterias, but none of the ones on this trip had more than a few vending machines. And in the old days, you used to be able to find water fountains everywhere. We had reusable water bottles with us, but rarely places to fill them. At EBT especially, it was really hot. They had 2 food trucks that sold 16-ounce bottles of ice-cold water for $1, and we purchased quite a few of them. Third, there are so many things to do in this region, it's tough to decide on priorities. Other train items I would have liked to see were the Coburg-Dale Railroad, New Hope and Ivyland, and the Wilmington and Western. Not to mention Horseshoe Curve, or spending time in Baltimore or at the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C. And lastly, one takeaway I've gathered from this trip, Carson is much more entertaining on camera than I am.
We are back with another video. And
we have one more stop on our trip. It's an incredible collection in a fantastic setting, and we're getting the VIP tour. We went out of our way to make sure we included this stop on our adventure. Surely it will be one you don't want to miss. See you next time.